There's something to be said about starting as you mean to go on. Just as Beauden Barrett began his international career with a romping win over a Northern Hemisphere power, sublime attack complementing his underrated kicking game, his 100th cap was exactly that. An initially battling victory for the All Blacks that turned into a fun day out at the fair with 15 minutes to go, as Wales started as they meant to go on. So, how good were the All Blacks? Is Beauden Barrett really the alliterative messiah? And what of Wales, who I think everyone keeps forgetting were deserved Six Nations champions just a few months ago? Everyone's forgotten that. You've forgotten that, haven't you? Where does this leave them with 3 more games to go this autumn and 23 more months until the Rugby World Cup? I've always found the All Blacks the most difficult team to talk about on this channel. They're the sport's eternal overdogs. There's no narrative, nothing they need to overcome because all worlds have already been conquered. But more importantly, rarely is there anything they're needing to work around. The All Black game plan is not built on playing to certain strengths or negating certain weaknesses. It's simply an all-court game. They have everything. As such, it's kind of straightforward. They want to break the field. They probably still have the most skillful 15 on the planet, but it doesn't matter how many bills your skills could hypothetically pay if you don't have the space to do them, right? So the All Blacks game plan, right, let's think of it like this. The All Blacks are Michael Jordan. The sides who beat the All Blacks, South Africa, Argentina, England in recent years, aren't the sides who outplay them at basketball. No one can do that. They're the sides who just make them pass the ball back and forward against the wall instead of getting on with a game. Most teams present that to some effect. New Zealand, however, are always looking to blow that wall down and get back to the Space Jam. This is usually achieved through an all-round mix of pace, smarts and skill, and this all-action style showed in the crucial try for TJ Perenara, a score that moved the mindset of Welsh fans dreaming of an upset from optimistic to, yeah buddy, it's been 63 years. Yeah, I know. Wales's defence is built on backing their work rate and fitness, so they happily leave a gap on the inside of Anscombe for Williams and Basham to fill. However, Perenara plays quicker than at any previous scrum, and Will Jordan, NZ's quickest player, can hit the hole whilst Williams and Basham are still drifting across, meaning he makes his kind of gain. Now, New Zealand are still breaking the wall. They're not ready to play any basketball yet, so happily sacrifice Beauden Barrett, their most skillful player, to the ruck in order to speed up the ball by a split second. Now, most teams would do anything to keep their fly half out of contact, but the All Blacks care about nothing but the speed of the ball and trust the rest of the team will execute if anything opens up without him there. Whitelock carries next, the only goal to speed up the play, knowing enough quick ball would disorganise any defence. Wales, meanwhile, take a calculated risk to prevent this each phase, looking to commit someone to contest every single ball. Here, Basham does a great job, but Moriarty is too busy watching the ruck and appealing for the turnover to set his width, leaving a gap for Blackadder to hit. McNichol thunders in from fullback to slow the ball and does really well, meaning Wales spread their defence and cover Geordie Barrett easily, except as Barrett hits the floor, Cody Taylor flies over this ruck. This clear out is illegal, sure, but it's excellent. It's really, really good. It's a calculated risk from New Zealand themselves to prevent the Welsh risk, to prevent Wales contesting. They can't slow it down at all, meaning Surveyor can pick and go, take out Elias and Anscombe, and offload to Perenara to finish the try, and, kind of finish the Welsh as well. It's not cheating if you get away with it, and we can see the All Blacks' brilliant knack for pushing the laws to just the point before penalties, before anyone, the referee, ever steps in, on Will Jordan's wonderful, excellent, very, very good solo score. This is not a very good kick by Thomas Williams, too far for Wales to do anything but hover up in response. Rowlands, blowing slightly, is not quite connected with Williams on the outside, who's calling for him to mark Will Jordan, and good luck with that. But watch Blackadder, who just steps into Rowlands slightly. It's a deliberate movement, but is subtle enough to never be considered a block. You could never, if you're a referee or TMO, you could never disallow the try for this, but it does throw Rowlands off ever so slightly, and that's the only gap Jordan needs to do, this, and then subsequently do this. A lot of Wales's most successful passages came when they were just being a bunch of chippy valley bastards, but it was only ever going to go so far, because this ain't the Gatland era anymore, son. Wales are coached by Wayne Pivac these days, and they are always going to play basketball. And Wales on Saturday had something special up their sleeves. Something very clever. Something that, reminded me of this.
It's game time. Y'all ready for this? Oh no, they were ready for that.
Yeah, Wales on Saturday became only the second test team I can personally recall to deploy 2-4-2 attacking pattern. For anyone out there who has friends and does things other than pore over rugby all day, literally all day, the 2-4-2 is an almost fabled attacking system created by everyone's favourite breakdancing dark mage, Scott Robertson at the Crusaders, and it's a structure that's seen them win Super Rugby for seemingly the last 2-4-2 years. However, it's like the weapon in a video game that it's massively overpowered, it'll kill any enemy, but it's so difficult to use and costly if you get it wrong that nobody ever actually uses it. If it comes off, your attack becomes an interlinking, unstoppably fast machine, but it demands an enormous work rate, tiny error count, and basically a identikit skill set from your entire team. Your looser has to be able to throw miss passes as well as your centres, for instance. Your wing is able to clear out like your flankers. I noticed Wales practicing it in the warm-up and got overexcited in a very, very sad and very, very nerdy way, and then got equally excited when they finally deployed it in the game. It's something they only used once. They're clearly working on this as something they can try out a bit in the autumn and then potentially bring in more and more during the Six Nations. And it works almost immediately. Jonathan Davis here kind of breaks the line and they start to make some real momentum, some real go forward, but for two tiny errors. One sloppy pass and Wales are caught behind the gain line, and then Johnny Williams is slow to enter the ruck and the ball is lost. Penalty conceded. He couldn't clear out in the way of the flankers. It's a tactic that demands perfection and Wales are not there yet. Wales have only had 2 weeks together and they looked rusty. This, for instance, begins as a good attack. As Australia showed in the Rugby Championship, the best way to deal with New Zealand's defence is to tie them into the ruck and condense them, and Wales hit this seam repeatedly. Alan Wynne-Jones here pinning Retallick in, meaning New Zealand stand off and allow Adam some easy yardage before offloading. However, instead of carrying in to condense them, Alan Wynne throws a sloppy pass to Anscombe, who has no choice but to pop it to Francis. This costs Wales metres and momentum, but more importantly, it splits their attack. Instead of launching the move they have planned for the next phase from the wing, it's coming from near midfield here. So, this is how Wales are lined up in the real world, with Francis having carried the ball in the middle of the pitch. If Alan Wynne-Jones had taken it in on the wing, this is how Wales would have likely lined up. The All Black defence sliding down as so. The attack in real life plays out like this.
Williams away for Anscombe. Oh, thumping tackle in midfield by Anton Leonard-Brown.
Bumper. However, hypothetically, if Wales were attacking from the wing as Anscombe intended when he called the play, these defenders are forced to watch the forward group here, meaning Basham's inside line actually holds these defenders in place, somewhat then isolating Leonard-Brown with both Wainwright and Williams running at him. Anscombe then has time to select whichever ALB doesn't hit them and work the overlap out to lane. Instead, no extra forward runners mean Basham's line is pointless and the All Blacks all ignore it, and then the pass to Williams is obvious. He gets smashed, momentum lost, the attack is good as over. It's a superb read by Leonard-Brown and something the All Blacks have made a habit of doing all day, albeit with often more brutal consequences than just a few bruised ribs. Beauden Barrett's reading of this is genius tier. It's the kind of thing you can normally only spot from the stands, and he does it from 40 yards away on the pitch. The moment McNichol goes for the pump and go, Barrett reads it and begins to time his run. Based on how his opposite man is holding the ball, if he's passing, he's offloading it last second out of one hand. It's the only way he'll get it away. So, Barrett holds his position until the tackle is made and picks it off perfectly, allowing him to romp in home and round off his 100th game. And in the kind of move that will prompt Welsh Rugby Facebook to start countless conspiracy theories, the other intercept try also came from a Kiwi. It's possible Gareth Anscombe just had flashbacks to him and Bodie's days in the under-20s together, but this one is a proper old-fashioned calamitous beat by Wales. They just want to run a simple crash, but in order to offer some deception, both Owen Lane and Johnny Williams run lines off Anscombe, who can then just pop it to one or the other and let them smash it up over the gain line. However, both of them assume it's going to the other one. Neither put their hands up or try to catch the ball, neither are looking at it, looking for the pass, and after it goes, both look to clatter into the opposite number in order to pull them out of line and open space. Both think they're the decoy option, and thanks to Mr. B. Barrett, they're both right. I don't even think this counts as an intercept if Barrett is the only one trying to catch the ball. I think then it's just a pass. It took New Zealand a while to get Wales' number, but once they did, it became remarkably easy. This try is just appalling defence, taken advantage of, but the penultimate score from Leonard-Brown out wide showed the real difference between the two teams. Wales are doing a great job of slowing New Zealand here. Even when they're making ground, the follow-up ball is slow, it's loose, it's not really threatening, it's pretty good defence. Eventually, however, Beauden Barrett decides to call it out anyway. Now I'm just going to rewind here. Note where Rico Ioane is the previous phase. Note him here, right? So when, here we are, Barrett gets the ball, Priestland makes the read based on that, based on the previous phase. He sees Moanga as the only midfield option and flies out of line to clatter him. Except Ioane is worked round to the open side and times his hands perfectly, allowing Geordie Barrett to put Leonard-Brown in the corner. Even when their attack wasn't functioning as they'd hoped, New Zealand remained composed and creative, whilst Wales lacked the same patience in defence, flying out the line to make a big hit, when just waiting and waltzing across could have contained the All Blacks. A lot was made of the sheer profit margins on this match, a 4 million bottom line, encouraging the WU to hack out their own team's hamstrings in order to get the game on, leaving Wales with only 2 first-choice players outside the front 5. However, the value of this fixture for Wales stretches way beyond the WRU's coffers. They got a free hit to try risky tactics against a world-class defence. They got an exact examination of their own defence, and they got to measure their wider squad up against the best in the world. If Wales is a chance for the World Cup once more, they need a squad of around 45 test calibre players. Last autumn, Wayne Pivac spent it trying to unearth as many of these as possible and knock them into shape, but this game on Saturday presented the first opportunity to really test them, to really see and give them a game against the newly recrowned #1 team in the world and see how good they were. And this could work out better in the long run for Wales than if the total first 15 had pushed the All Blacks to 5 or 7 points, or they'd arranged an out-of-window fixture against a minnow as Scotland did this weekend, their equivalent side running all over a pretty pointless depleted Tonga team. Tame Basham, armed with the exact name Mitchell and Webb would have given a player in a rugby sketch, made his first start for Wales on Saturday and was exceptional, providing the squad with another international calibre talent. Rhys Priestland continued the 2021 trend of 2011's 10s today by being excellent off the bench. Johnny McNichol had his best game for Wales. A few rough edges still there, but he looks like there's a genuine international calibre fullback in there, returning the ball with real vigour and allowing Wales to play the expendable first receiver system Pivac implemented during his winning season at the Scarlets. And Aaron Wainwright also had his best game since the World Cup in the 8 shirt, showing there may be life beyond Felipe Faletau, whilst Jonathan Davis looks a bit more like it than he has all year. However, just as important as this were the players that didn't stand up. Gareth Anscombe wasn't his sharpest, but there's enough to say that it'll be worth the wait once he is 100%. Ryan Elias's issues kind of speak for themselves, but frankly they're fixable. And Owen Lane showed us exactly where he's at. Lane played well, showing up really well in attack and giving Wales an extra crash ball option if they chose to pass to him, but he has this habit of second guessing himself in defence. You can't really see it on the camera angle here, but he's initially covering for the cross kick, he then begins to adjust to shoot up, only for Barrett to spot this and hit the kick, Lane having just changed his mind. And likewise, after failing to regather the ball he always should have taken, he then spends this back and forth, going back and forth, marking ball not man and failing to stick to any decision, ultimately doing what the judge wouldn't and giving Sevu Reece time. This is a problem a great number of test wingers face in their first 5 caps, and we now know exactly what Lane's work-ons are. Johnny Williams also showed us exactly his level. Now this is going to sound extremely harsh, but I think Williams played absolutely as well as he is capable of on Saturday, and that kind of says he's probably not of the required standard to challenge for a World Cup. Williams is a very, very good club player, but he looked kind of out of his depth. The speed are thought too slow. Here he times his line wrong, then gets tunnel vision and is hit behind the gain line. Here he's too caught pondering to work out how to unleash Josh Adams. This game told us beyond doubt that Williams is an emergency only option, and we should start looking for other centres to fill the Hadley Park's hole. If Wales go on to unearth those other 45 players and hit form at the World Cup, this game will have been absolutely crucial in telling us where so many of them are at. New Zealand, however, I'm not sure had much to learn from this game. They next head to Italy, where I think it's fair to say everyone is expecting a battering, with Paolo Garbisi creating at least 8 of Italy's 10 to 12 tries as they look to build on a historic draw at the World Cup. Now, I'm not sure what New Zealand learned from an autumn where they played the USA, Wales' 3rd team, and Italy, but at least they've got a 4th fixture against Ireland to look forward to, who will at least have their full 15 and aren't playing in the quarterfinal, so it should be an actual contest. As a neutral observer in that regard, I hope New Zealand's blowout autumn doesn't go on just as it started. I did record this in the Principality Stadium on full time, but the thing was completely inaudible, so you're going to have to deal with me here. Thank you for watching that. I apologise as well for the fact I'm not going to be able to get time to do one on the women's game between England and New Zealand, which was a huge game. You know, the biggest loss the Black Ferns have ever suffered, really cemented England as the best team in the world. I was really hoping to do something on that, and I've got some notes on that, but I just couldn't get it done in time. Sorry. There's loads more happening, as you can see on the fixture wall behind me here. There's loads more I'm planning on covering in the next week, in the coming weeks, over the course of this autumn, and then even beyond that as well. So thank you for watching that. I am also taking part in the Autumn Nation Series' Fantasy League. If you want to see the link in the description, have a look. There's a league to try and beat me, and there will be some merch sent out to whoever wins the league, some official stuff from the Autumn Nation Series themselves, so please go and have a look at that. Please have a look around. Please, thank you to support the people who support the channel on Patreon, and I'll see you soon for more of the rugby.
Oh no, they were ready for that.